Charles.
Commissioners Court of Brazos County meeting in regular session on March 24th, 2026, 10 a.m. in the Commissioners Courtroom of the County Administration Building, 200 South Texas Avenue, Suite 106. First item on the agenda is invocation, pledge of allegiance for the U.S. and Texas flag, and I'll lead those. Father, I want to thank you this morning for your love and your mercy. I want to thank you, Father, for all the blessings that you bestow upon us. I want to thank you, Father, that we live in a country that we have the freedom that we have. Father, I ask that you would give us wisdom this morning as we go about the county business. I ask all these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
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 I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honored the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Second item on the agenda is citizen input and our concerns. And Charles Coates.
Thank you. My name is Charles Coates. I live in Bryan, but I work for Bryan College Station Habitat for Humanity. And I wanted to make you aware of a couple of things that have been going on related to the work that Bryan College Station Habitat does. We, for the last I think it's going on 37 years now, we've built over 320 homes for families across Brazos County and also recently Washington County for families, workers in our community who are typically considered low to moderate income. We have done this, and I think we're quite good at it. But over the last 2 decades, what we've seen is that it's become a lot harder to build, especially in Brazos County, but also in Washington County. And so it's kind of slowed down our process. But we've also seen, especially single-family homes, virtually double in cost. And so we feel that our work that we do, where we provide a 0% interest loan to families that qualify in exchange for doing 300 hours of sweat equity, which is basically volunteer hours building homes for their neighbors' homes as well as their own home, is more important than ever. And so for the first time we've had a long basically line of families waiting to get a home. We've worked our way through this list, and so now we're actually opening up applications for the first time in, I believe, 1.5 years. And so we wanted to make y'all aware of that, and hopefully some people watching on TV or even people on the dais may know somebody who's in need, who is in that low to moderate income category. Let them know, please, that on, March 27th at 6 p.m., 7 p.m. For Spanish speakers, we are holding an informational session at 119 Lake Street in Bryan, where we'll go over the requirements of our program as well as the benefits of it and see whether there are people in our community that have that need for a family home. We're also getting ready to start our next subdivision in Bryan, and we'll have more details on that. And so at this informational session, you'll learn when you can turn in the application as well, be able to pick one up. You can also come by our office at 119 Lake Street. You can also go to our website at habitatbcs.org/apply for more details. So just wanted to kind of make a PSA and also thank y'all for, over the years, your support of Habitat for Humanity and the work that we do. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job.
That was the only citizen input, so we'll move to number 3, is presentation and discussion. Presentation and discussion by Alan Day, General Manager of Brazos Valley GCD, on the annual report for Brazos Valley Groundwater Conservation District. Alan.
Good morning, Judge
Morning,
Peters and Commissioners. Greatly appreciate the opportunity to come and update you. Annually we come and we try to give you a snapshot of what happened year before. So we're going to talk about 2025. A lot went on in 2025. Before I get started, everybody needs to understand if you haven't plugged in to water, it is time to plug in. Because if you'll just pick up the Texas Tribune, and there's 4 articles in there this morning about City of Corpus Christi. They're about to run smooth out of water.
Yes.
Everything runs on water, including Brazos and Robertson counties. It runs on water. Your growth depends on water. We're going to regulate that water, and we're going to make sure that there's plenty of water for that growth to happen, okay? But you don't turn a blind eye. Get plugged into it, know what's going on. If you got questions, you need to call the district. There's data centers coming. Telling you, it's gonna happen. There's just gonna be growth in any sector that you look around. So, know what's happening, okay? And, for the public, they can get plugged in by going to brazosvalleygcd.org, go to our homepage. There's so much information there, so everybody needs to be very conscious of water at this point. So that's enough of a sermon, and I'll start off. We are annually required to report, prepare an annual report for the board members of what's happened the year before. So we're going to talk about 2025. The total number of permitted wells, meaning non-exempt that'll do more than 35 gallons a minute for some type of beneficial use, there was a total of 8 for about 3,000 acre feet total. That's a small amount compared to what we've had in the past. We have recently changed some rules, especially in the Simsboro Aquifer. We've made twice the distance or spacing between wells because we needed to slow down the amount of water that was being possibly, 1, permitted, 2, used to protect that 50, 75, and 100 years of stable water. So that's 25 permitting, permitted by aquifer. 500 of it was from the alluvium. Most of that was irrigation for down in the Brazos bottom. The Simsboro, we had a little over 2,200, 1,989 of that went out to A&M. A&M at the Rellis campus is drilling a new Simsboro well out there. So again, a relatively small amount of water that's been was permitted last year. Here's a breakdown you'll see from on the metered production by aquifer, and I can tell you this didn't change much at all year over year between 24 to 25, and we're seeing the same thing now. It stayed very stable. We were not in a drought type condition. That's when you'll see the numbers come up. When you start getting into a summer of 22, a summer of 23, everybody wants to water their lawns. That's when we start seeing those higher numbers of Simsboro pumping. So everything stayed very stable this year. By category, there's the breakdown of the metered production by agriculture, municipal, rural water supply, industrial, and steam electric. You can see that the lion's share is always in that municipal and rural water supply. We changed our fee structure, or the way that we collect fees in 2025. Up and until and through 2024, we were charging fees based on actual production by permitted well. So we were able to bring that money in early 2025, and then the board changed and said, in 2025, we're going to start charging on a per acre foot of permit. So if you're permitted for 100 acre feet, you're going to pay for 100 acre feet of permitted production, whether you pump it or not. Okay, so we collected in 2 years, and we're not collecting in arrears anymore. We're collecting in real time. So last year we literally collected for 2 years, 2024 and 2025. So the number you see here is about 520,000. We purposely set our rate at a very low rate for 2025 because everyone was having to pay for 2 years. So we did not want the permit holders to get soaked because of our changing our fee collection. So the number is much higher this year. Last year it was at about $4.78 per acre foot. This year it's gone to $14.75. But everything's in real time now, and we don't have anything coming in arrears. Exempt wells that were permitted last year are a total of 210. A larger number in Robertson County than in Brazos, and I can tell you a lot of those is me driving around going, there's a water well, there's a water well, and there's a water well, and that are not in our database. And I will purposely register those wells, send those well owners a letter that says, I'm putting in the database, here's your registration. I need to know you're there so I can protect your property rights. Because if I don't know you're there, then when I permit some other big well in your proximity, then that might actually have an effect on your ability to pump. So we continue to get the message out. We're not here to put a meter on an exempt well, something that'll do less than 35 gallons a minute. There's not enough bulletproof vests for me to go out and do that. Okay, it's just not going to happen, and people need to get the fear gone and the myth gone that we're going to tell them how much water to pump. Okay, so if you ever hear that out in the field, please send them my way. Yeah. Here's the breakdown by category of what we have today, and I'll tell you this is 2,000 or 3,000 wells shy of what's out there. There's just a lot of wells that we know are there. I see the well logs in the old archives. I just haven't been able to find them. I mean, I don't go out on people's property and try to do it that way. So, but at this point, we're showing about 7,600 wells, of which the last two categories, historic use and drilling operating, that 1,111 wells, those are the ones that are creating those that are getting permit fees that are actually funding the district. Pretty important slide right here. It's our desired future conditions, and I've preached to y'all now probably for 14 years. This is my 14th trip. We didn't get here in 20 and 21 in person, but we've been doing these annual reports, and the desired future condition simply says this is what my board intends for the aquifers, each of the 8 that we manage, are going to look like in 50 years. And it's a planning tool, but it's also a regulatory tool, because once we reach those desired future conditions, when we get to within 90% of those, then we have a rule that says we will curtail. Curtail simply means we're going to put a cap on pumping beyond what got us to the desired future condition. And that's where we don't want to be. Absolutely don't want to be. And we want to make sure that our desired future conditions are meeting the growth that you're going to have in Brazos and Robertson counties. We're currently in our 4th round of DFC planning with our other 4 districts in GMA 12. And we're having a bit of an argument as to where that number needs to be. So that's going to settle in here. By the end of the year, we're going to know exactly. We all have to agree to a point of a 2/3 vote. in order to end up with the desired future condition. So we've still got a little time to go, but we're getting kind of critical mass on that. The one that I want to, let's see if this will, right here on the Simsboro. So last year it was 66, and now it's 68, 2 feet. Let's go on to the next slide. And so the graph on the left says if we pumped at a steady rate from the year 2000, and our DFCs are set on year 2070 right now. That's getting ready to change. It's getting ready to go up to 2080. So, but up to 2070, it says if we pumped a steady rate from 2000 to 2070, that's the linear line that actually gets us there in 2070, where we literally get to the desired future condition for the Simsboro Aquifer, which is currently 262 feet of artesian reduction. That doesn't mean that we are mining the aquifers. Aquifer still fully saturated, will be into perpetuity. There will be, your property right will be in the ground into perpetuity as long as there's a groundwater district, okay? So, but this, I'm gonna skip on to the next one. This is actually what it's not that linear fall. This is what it actually looks like. So starting up at the very top, you got year 2000 up here, and we really picked it up and started graphing it out in 2017 right here. And you can see each year here for about 5 years in a row, we went down 1 foot of artesian head, 1 foot. And then we get to 2021, we're right here at 34 feet. We've gone 34 feet of that 262 feet that we've used up of artesian head, which is averaged across the entire district, from deep wells over here in Brazos County all the way up to the very shallowest Simsboro wells out to the east of Bremont, okay? So here we are in 2021, and our measurement said we've lost 34 feet of artesian head. Now think about so Vista Ridge, which is the pumping project in Burleson County, which is sending 50,000 acre feet of water into San Antonio annually. So once they turned that switch on in April of 2020, they've never turned the switch off. It's a constant pumping, just like Bryan is a constant pumping, just like College Station is a constant pumping. You don't turn the system off, you just bounce around to different wells. So you can see it didn't show anything at this point in any of our monitoring wells. We fully expected to see that effect roll in. We didn't see it in 2021. A year after they've turned it on, we still are really not seeing that effect. But when we went out to 2022, you can see this drop right there. That was Vista Ridge. Then in 2023, you continue to have the Vista Ridge effect coming in, and then we superimposed our summer pumping. Everybody was wanting to keep their lawns alive in the summer of 2022, 2023. I had farmers that were using those Simsboro wells like crazy, just trying to grow crops, okay? So you can see that the effect was a little steeper drop. After we get out of 2023, we get into 2024, you can see that it starts to lighten up. Right here's 2024, and then 2025, we only lose 2 feet. That tells me the Vista Ridge effect is here. It's done. We know what that cone of depression looks like. It's rolled in, and it's going to be a constant, probably about 2 feet of artesian head reduction we'll be able to attribute to the Vista Ridge project, as long as that project is going along. And then we've already built our effect, the Bryan College Station, Texas A&M, it's already built into the system. Our cone of depression has reached out long ago, So you're not gonna be seeing maybe a foot. It's slow about doing. Now, when growth comes, we're gonna see a difference. We're gonna see when your population jumps up and when we start getting more and more businesses, whether it be a data center or an AI center, or whether it's a nuclear power plant or wherever it might be, you're gonna see that effect right here in the area. But we're seeing anywhere from 50 to 60 feet of artesian reduction from Vista Ridge already on the Bryan College Station A&M wells. So that's nothing to be alarmed about at all. They have plenty of room to move the wells down, and we've calculated exactly what we think that's going to look like. All right. So if you just use that straight line pumping, we would have used 36% of the DFC as of last year, 2025. We've used 26%. So every year for the 26 years, we have literally used 1%, even with Vista Ridge coming online. All right, here's our monitoring wells. We have 222 of them. We officially take 612 water level measurements. You can see how many we have in the Simsboro, because that's where everybody's getting water. That's where all the municipalities are getting their water. That's where a lot of the farmers are getting their water. It's a very important water resource for the Brazos Valley, for the Brazos Valley. We have a subset of wells, just so you'll know, about 80 that are just Simsboro wells that we literally go to sometimes on a weekly basis, depending on what the weather looks like, depending on how much pumping's going on, because we're getting some baselines of what the impacts are when things are pumped at certain levels, because the Upwell project is coming. That's the one northwest of Hearn. It's gonna come online probably late 2029, maybe early 2030 is kind of when it's being projected. We need to know what that looks like sooner rather than later, because we have worked out a mitigation plan to be able to not only the residential wells that are Simsboro wells, not only the livestock wells, but all of the municipalities, and including Bryan College Station A&M, we've worked out a plan to partner and help mitigate those wells. So last year, we spent the first 6 months in litigation with A&M to make sure that the project, the Upwell project, was reasonable and stayed reasonable, and were able for us to be able to partner by getting those export fees and then turning them into mitigation funds rather than them just sitting over here and growing and growing and growing. We're going to put that right back into all of the mitigation of these wells. The unique thing about this is that our mitigation is going to be done and completed before the pumping ever comes online. Nobody's tried to do that in the state at this point. We don't want a property owner, we don't want a municipality, we don't want any of them to even know that the effect has happened. I don't want anyone running out of water and then calling me and go, why did you let that happen? The only way that's gonna happen, Ed, is when the person that hid his well that I didn't know about, they're gonna say, why didn't you fix my well? I said, why aren't you on the list? Yep. That's what I'm gonna do. And then we're gonna fix it. We're gonna put them on the emergency well list. We're gonna get them a well drill. We're gonna, whatever needs to be done, but that's why I encourage anybody, and that's so important in Robertson County, because that's a shallower aquifer up there than it is down here. Okay, and I told you about our fee structure. We continue, I just hired a young lady that, Kathy Polzer. She was a teacher in the Bryan College Station school system for 31 years. She's now my educational coordinator, and we continue to have the best education in the state of Texas. We're still going into schools, third graders, fourth graders, seventh graders, teaching them about what an aquifer is, how it all works, water conservation, contamination. It is, and we're meeting the teachers' teaks so that it all makes sense. And management plan's gonna have to be updated as soon as we have a new DFC. All right. I talked way too long, Judge. Anybody have any questions? I'd be glad to answer questions.
I was just gonna say, I appreciate that you made the point, registering the wells helps you help them. That you're right, the perception is otherwise, and Kathy Polzer's a great add to the team. I think she'll be very good in helping you spread that word. My concern is, more upwell projects, that sort of thing coming to our district. You can approve them or not approve them. I guess counties can approve them or not approve them.
Well, here's what I'll say, is that we've been through the fiery furnace. We knew what it looked, we came out the other side smoking. We know what that looks like. I can tell you that the board at this point is, let's make sure and take care of the home folks first. What are the needs? How much water do we have? What are the needs of the Brazos and Robertson County producers and residents and businesses and things of that nature, looking out 50 and 75 and 100 years? Mm-hmm. And if we believe that there's, when you take X minus Y and it equals a black number, and yes, there's probably still some excess that could be marketed or what otherwise, that's one scenario. Or it might be, you know what, there's just not. So that's just going to come on a case-by-case basis. We have not had that at this point. We still have a serious surplus of Simsboro permits that were done about the same time. Well, they're done in 2023, and they're due to either be drilled by September 14th of 2026. And if they're not drilled and completed, then that permit goes away, or they have 2 years paying the full rate to go ahead and finish that well. So that deadline's coming, and we're going to see a lot of those. It's going to be interesting to see what that looks like. I think we're going to see a lot of those permits go away. I think they were a little bit speculative.
Okay.
That's just my.
You don't think it'd be a run on drilling? You think people will say, "Oh, okay, I had that permit in case I needed it, but I don't."
There were some that said we want to be part of the Upwell project.
Okay.
So they came got permits.
Gotcha.
Well, there were some of those that did get absorbed, that were not absorbed, but became partners with all of that.
Sure.
But we still limited that transport project to 50,000 acre feet. They cannot transport more than 50,000 acre feet. They have an additional 58,000 acre feet beyond what they can pump and transport that can be used in district. That's where we want it to be used. We want it to be used right here. That was the whole point or part of the litigation and the mediation that we went through. Let's keep as much of this right here as we possibly can to meet the needs of a growing society here.
I want you to know that Commissioner Condula, he probably uses more water than all of us combined because he has like 20 kids.
So on your educational outreach slide, you had water quality labs. So I know down at Precinct 1, we have a lot of folks still have private wells. How often do they need to test them, and where do they send it to get tested so they don't have somebody trying to sell them a water treatment plan?
Well, I would, anytime they can take a water sample right out of their well, put it on ice and take it to the forage and water testing lab at F&B Road, Agronomy and F&B. They'll, about $20, they'll do a water quality test, and they'll give about 8 elements of what's in there, give the pH, the hardness, those kinds of things. That's the first thing I would do.
Great, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
So I know you've tried to allay the concerns of the citizens by bringing up what's happening in Corpus, because, you know, I mean, that scares everybody. But the concern is, and I know you've talked a lot and you've tried to explain a lot to allay our concerns, to say that right now Brazos Valley is we're doing okay. It doesn't mean we don't need to conserve and we don't need to be aware.
Always conserve.
But, you know, talking to regular citizens, there's still going to be that concern. Like I say, they've heard what's happened in Corpus, but unless they're sitting here or watching what's happening and watching what you're saying, it's going to be incumbent upon us, number one, as the governing agency for the county, and how we manage with the growth, because growth is coming. You know, Texas is priding itself on its growth, but with that come the kinds of things that you're talking about, the different resources and the infrastructure that will be needed to support that growth. And so, like I said, you've tried to allay some concerns, but I can tell you right now, we're going to start hearing, where's Brazos Valley, Brazos County in particular, with with water resources. You know, I'm one of those people who likes a nice green yard, but hearing you say that, I realize, I mean, I think I said this once before, and it ended up getting picked up by the media about, do we need to go to landscaping? But nonetheless, you know, the concern with the citizens who hear what is happening, how do we break that down into bite-sized pieces that the regular person can understand when you say, with management, we'll be okay? So, you know, I may have to sit down and talk to you and let you give me the Water Conservation for Dummies discussion on how I can communicate with my citizens and my
That's known
residents.
as Aquifers 101. I typically do that about once every year, but I'm gonna start doing it a little more often, Ed. People need to understand how an aquifer works.
Absolutely.
I can sit and I can preach all day long, but if you don't understand how it works,
I'll admit
then
I
you're
don't.
gonna think that we're gonna run out of water. That's the last thing you're gonna do, is run out of water. We cannot statutorily allow that to happen. We can curtail, which does not mean you don't get any more water. It just simply means if you're already sharing in an aquifer and we reach that cap, then everyone is gonna take a similar haircut in order to stay under the cap. Now, we're doing everything in the world not to do that. We believe that there's more water available beyond 262 that for the growth that we're talking about. We've done the groundwater modeling. We've looked at all the wells. We've spent some serious dollars from these fees that we raise to know what this is gonna look like in 50 years and beyond. So we feel very, very confident in how our board is handling moving forward. The heartburn comes when, it seems to me, the heartburn comes when people see and hear water is moving to some other place. I understand that.
Being sucked-
I
taken-
absolutely have empathy for that. I understand it. That's why I said earlier, my board is very cognizant of that. And it is, let's make sure that we have plenty of water for everyone here before we go, okay, and there's still some that can be transported. Believe me, that is a matter that will be taken very, very seriously.
Okay. I don't know if there should be some kind of a community, you know, I don't know whether people would show up for a community meeting regarding water conservation. I guess it'll be
Yell at me.
They wouldn't show up.
Well, depends on what they want. If they're one of those that is a developer or whatever the case may be, they might.
Yeah.
I mean, we're open at any time to meet, and we do this all the time. I'm always a little bit miffed when I do an Aquifers 101 and I put it out and I advertise it and I end up with 12 people. I would hope that I would get a full room every single time. Maybe I just needed to move it closer. The ones that I have more, that seem to have more not plugged in, but more concerns tend to be in Robertson County. The landowners out there, and they're, large landowners, they just want to make sure that their property rights are being taken care of and protected and that kind of thing. So it's, I typically have it at the district office, but we'll do that anywhere.
Okay.
I was gonna say, if we had one and promoted it with our cities and our media here in Brazos County, maybe at the Brazos Center or whatever, maybe Bobby Boucher could come and sign autographs.
I'm all about it.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah, I think we ought to work to put something
Put
like
it
that
on
together
your,
here.
think so,
put it on
too.
your list of things to get with us. We will make that happen.
Sure.
Agree. I
Yeah.
think so. I mean, it can't hurt.
No.
At least they can say we were responsible enough to try to communicate. And as we go down that needing for transparency requirement, that can be an addition that we took it to the community.
Fred, I'll bring my 20 kids. That'll help the numbers at the meeting.
That'll be good. Thank you, Chuck.
Any other questions? Thank y'all so much
you.
for
Thank you.
Thank you, Alan.
your time.
Okay, we will move on. Presentation and update of Brazos County Courthouse Annex Building Project by Trevor Lansdowne, Project Management.
Good morning, Judge and Commissioners. Trevor Lansdowne, Director of Project Management. Wanted to present this morning on the Courthouse Annex Building. We've got an agenda item on later on to approve the guarantee maximum price amendment to the contract for Spa Glass to begin work, and I thought it'd be a good time to kind of walk everybody through the progress that we've made through the design from just about a year ago today. We started meeting. We've been meeting every week with Spa Glass and Plan North, the design firm on the project, to design kind of what you're going to see today. And so, a little bit of history and kind of how we got here, just for the public and everybody else that hasn't been as dialed in. The county acquired the property at 101 North back in 2021. And over 2 years after that, 18 months or so, we hired Architect Studio to help us walk through some feasibility studies about what we could put into that building, what county departments would fit in the old Bryan ISD administration building. And we went through about 7 or 8 different variations of departments through that time period to try and make the existing facility work for a combination of the departments. And what came out of that was that we realized we really couldn't make it work. The way the building was constructed, had its own limitations. And so the court authorized the demolition of that building back in the middle of 2023. And so we demoed that building. Kind of in that same timeline, we brought on Brazos Planning. They're a master planning firm that came on and helped us truly program a new building and what that could look like. And at that time, you'll all kind of remember, we moved forward with the idea of putting the public defender's office, the adult probation, CSCD department, and then the Justice of the Peace and the Constable for Precinct 4 into that building. And so Brazos helped us program and plan that space out, and created kind of some block diagrams and some rough square footages for what we thought we were going to need when we built it, as well as establish a construction budget through that process. We then took that into budget for FY25, and we solicited qualifications and pricing for a construction manager at risk and a design firm. And those contracts were awarded to Spa Glass Construction and Plan North Architecture. And so, again, that's how we kind of got to where we are today, and just kind of walk y'all through where we've landed. And again, just a reminder on the departments that we're putting in there. The other ad, kind of forgot, y'all probably haven't forgotten, but we litigated last summer and discussed adding a 4th floor to the facility for future growth. The court ultimately approved that and increased the construction cost limitation on the project to $59 million. Feel free to stop me if y'all have any questions too. Sorry, I should have started with that. So just kind of want to run through kind of rough where we landed on floor plans for the building. This is going to be the first floor of the building, which is going to house the constable's office, the Justice of the Peace, both for Precinct 4. And then it's also going to, the urinalysis lab is a function that the probation department manages. Currently, we contract it out to a third party, but it is a requirement of the county to provide a space for that operation. And so that's also going to be down there on the first floor. As we went through the design process, we tried to keep all the functions that were more transactional and in and out on the first floor to limit the traffic that was going to head up to the upper floors. This building will also have a very similar security apparatus that we've got at the courthouse. Since the buildings are ultimately connected by the secure passage over Texas Avenue, we really wanted to treat it as kind of one big building from a security perspective. So, the second floor is fully adult probation. They've got roughly 60 employees, and so this is going to give them full office space, all of their group rooms for a lot of their after-hours programs that they run, and again, ample space to get move them from the current building attached to the Roy Kelly garage to across the street. When we added the fourth floor, one of the conversations that we had with the public defender was at the time they were on the third floor of the design at that point, and so it talking with Nathan and working with his department, we kind of landed on the idea that it made more sense to push them all the way up to 4. So they'll end up being up on the 4th floor, and the 3rd floor is really the sort of future build-out space of what we added to the project last summer. It's also the floor where the bridge connection happens to connect as well. And then the 4th floor ends up being the public defender's office. And so we've got enough offices in there. As you know, the public defender's been growing year after year, which was the plan originally, and to kind of build this thing into a larger public defender's office. And so I believe we had 11 employees or 11 positions last year. And so this gives us enough space to accommodate those 11 ads plus a couple extra twos over time. So, and then we're leaving the additional space on that floor as the public defender's office continues to grow to build it out. And then let me bump back just a sec. One of the things, I don't have any, it's not all that fancy to look at, but we are attaching a parking garage to this structure too. I didn't want to lose that as we kind of go through the process. The parking garage, we added a 4th floor to it when we added a 4th floor to the building. And so there will be kind of a little bit of a landing kind of that connects every floor of the garage to the floor of the building. And so all our folks will be able to park where they work and then just make their way over. One of the other kind of big ideas that we tried to work into the design here was truly a secure side of the facility and then an operational and business side of the facility. And so there's really good public flows and employee flows to the design.
Will there be additional parking for the public when they need to come into the building? Will the lower level
Yes.
have public parking?
Yes, ma'am. So currently, the first level, the ground level of the garage will be the public parking area. We're kind of in a little bit of a wait and see on how some of the after hours probation stuff works and how many people they end up getting in the building at one time. But we're putting technology and controls in place so that if we do need to open up the upper levels for specific things after hours, we can and take it on kind of a case by case. Okay. But everything above level 1 would be secure just for employees.
Okay, gotcha.
Trevor, when the 4th floor was added, for the $10 million, wasn't
Yes,
that
sir.
the amount? That's just for no build out, just a vacant
No, it's gonna be
floor?
used.
Well, no.
So it is a vacant floor. We did carry up all of the back end infrastructure. So there's restrooms, there's an elevator shaft, there's a finished out elevator shaft. There is lighting, there has to be sprinklers. There's some things that are there. It's not nothing, but we will have to go in the end and add ceiling and finishes and kind of everything else when we do decide who we want to move over to into those spaces.
10 million just doesn't buy what it used to, does it?
No, my dollar definitely doesn't go as far as it used to. So, kind of in that vein, like you mentioned, the shell space. So one of the other major scopes as part of this project is the bridge connection and where it comes over into the courthouse. And so the next couple slides that I want to kind of show y'all is we are affecting the DA's space. So they currently use up almost the entire third floor of the courthouse. And so, but to the idea of a shell space, we do have one. We have a shell space that got left over. It was the old 361st District Courtroom after the courthouse remodel. And so we're part of the project is, and it's probably going to be the very first thing that we do, is we're going to finish out that shell space so that we can relocate employees into there as we do affect their work on the other side where the bridge is going to come in. We're also going to try to get it done in time so that as folks need to relocate out of this building as we continue through the construction, we can relocate over there and have some offices for some folks. So this is just a couple pictures. So we've been using it for kind of attic stock, and it's kind of been a general catch-all as, these spaces kind of tend to become. But Bob's got his guys lined out, and they're already going to kind of get in there and start moving some stuff around. And the DA's office has some old files and things they're going to get out of there too. So, but this is that shell space that we're gonna finish out. So, and then what you see here is the offices that essentially are going to get demoed so that we can bring that bridge connection in. And that's the view kind of from the window across the street. That's exactly where the opening is going to be when they come across. So, and we got some final renderings with the design getting almost all the way complete. So this is what we're looking at across the street. The 4-floor building with the attached garage. This is kind of the view from over like the Health District gas station side across WJB. This is a rendering of the first floor concourse for the Justice of the Peace area. We were able to, in the design, to kind of carry that monument stair all the way up to all 4 floors. So the folks that are coming in, there's elevators obviously, but again, that monument stair on Texas Avenue carries all the way up. Rendering of the Justice of the Peace Court. It's all pretty straightforward. And then this would be a view, if you're on the bridge, walking towards the new building from the courthouse. So, just to give you an idea. There's a shot for at night, kind of gives you an idea on the site lighting. One of the complaints we hear, y'all have probably heard it from a lot of the folks in the courthouse, is that the lighting is really terrible at night. The site lighting is really bad, both at the garage and at the courthouse. And so we're going to do what we can to improve that situation, at least on the new building. Here's an overhead shot for what the kind of final piece of this is going to look like. We used just about every square inch of the site as we could in the design. It's not a huge site, and so I'm really pleased with what we were able to accomplish in the design. And so to date, you all have been approving kind of piecemeal as we've worked through the various permits, and we had an MOU with TxDOT that the court approved. We got that fully executed back from TxDOT, so that was our the MOU to allow us to erect the secure passage over Texas Avenue, which is a TxDOT road, and that's done behind us. We all sort of identified that as a pretty big project constraint early on in the design process, and it went smoother than I ever thought it would. So kudos to the design team and TxDOT to get that done. We also had to do a special use permit. We got that back this morning, actually, right before court, approved by the city of Bryan. And those two things were sort of the last kind of lingering pieces to getting our site plan approved by the city. And so we're hoping that that's going to come either today or tomorrow, which is essentially will allow Spalglass to start work. And then the 100% construction documents from the design team are also going to come to us this week. So it's all sort of coming together at the right time. And so then the next steps is obviously the guaranteed maximum price proposal from Spalglass is on today's agenda. We have a construction materials testing. Commissioner Brown, I know you love testing our materials, but we do have a proposal that'll be on the next agenda. And then, again,
I thought we did that. I thought
That was a different project. So
They were over there drilling holes.
so that was geotech. So it was two different things. So we did geotech work for the
That was
structural
like
side.
that was like $100,000.
90 grand.
Yes, sir. The
Yeah.
geotech work was.
So what's this next hole drilling thing gonna cost?
So this one won't be drilling holes. This is to test the materials, which is a requirement of code, the city, and also of the design firm, to make sure that we're getting our money's worth on our project.
Some state legislator probably made that a requirement at some
I
time.
never voted for that. I can promise you that. Being a former member of appropriations for so long.
But the building to collapse because the.
Well, that ain't gonna happen.
That's
These-
right.
These
We'll make
people
sure that everything's good.
out there looking for ways they can make some money.
Generally,
And the
generally,
public's paying for it.
everybody does a great job. Nobody's trying to, but it does happen from time to time that things don't pass the materials tests, and they got to go back in and rework it. So,
I can go out there with a hammer and beat on stuff and send you a bill if you want.
we'll get you signed up as a contractor. So, there you go.
If he passed muster.
And so then this would all lead into a notice to proceed that they've got on their schedule to start April 6th. And we're working towards a groundbreaking on April 21st. It's a Tuesday that we do have court, so we're going to start the morning over there and then come back over here for court. I'm working with Barbara and Ken on a media campaign for our traffic control plan. We haven't really gone too deep into this, but obviously erecting a bridge over Texas Avenue is going to have some disruptions when it comes to the routes and roadways through downtown. And so I won't give too much away, but we're working on a way to get that out to everyone. Maybe not quite to the scale that TxDOT did with their Big Six stuff, but it does affect a lot of folks that come to this corner. It's a really busy intersection, so we do want to get ahead of it and make sure that we're getting the message out to let everybody know where the detours are going to happen and when. And then substantial completion. We're looking at roughly a two-year project. So that's all I got. Do y'all have any questions? We have Drew Kane here. He's our project manager with Spa Glass, and then Ken Birch, the Prime with Plan North, and Ryan Key, our project manager with Plan North, are both here if there's any questions for myself or either of them.
Questions?
Good job, good information.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely.
And like you said, it's a lot, and it's not a big site. And the
Right.
team has worked well with the county staff
Right,
and made good use of the space. Yeah.
right.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Very much.
Thanks, Trevor.
All right. Thank you guys for coming.
We will move on to number fours. Consider and take action on 4 through 33. Number 4 is approval request from Constable Precinct 3 to accept an NRA Foundation grant for $1,880 for training, ammunition, and medical bags.
Move approval.
Second?
Motion made, seconded, discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Number 5 is approval acceptance of donated and unclaimed property left by the inmates leaving Brazos County Detention Center for the month of January 2026.
Move for approval?
Second?
Motion made, seconded, discussion. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? None motion carries. Number 6 is approval of reappointment of Mark Malzberger to the MHMR Authority Brazos Valley Board of Trustees. Term of appointment is March 1, 2026 to February 29, 2028.
Move to approve.
Second?
Motion made, seconded, discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Number 7 is a request approval memorandum of understanding between Brazos County Sheriff's Office and the United States Capitol Police to provide protective services support for the U.S. and elected officials while in Brazos County.
Move for approval?
Second?
Motion made, seconded. And then we've got Kathy Beans wants to speak on that.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. Kathy Vians, Precinct 4. I assumed that it would indicate that this agreement indicated that the Capitol Police were going to be here, but somebody brought it to my attention. Maybe it would be the Sheriff's Department being needed in D.C. to assist the Capitol Police there. Do you know anything about this?
Yeah, so my understanding, I don't know that the sheriff is here, but my understanding was that the intent was to pay those or we thought they were gonna pay those deputies directly, and they don't, Capitol Police does not do that. That was when I think they went to Washington DC. But they were we thought they were gonna pay the deputies directly rather than come through the county. They do not wanna do that. They wanna pay the county, so we have to have an MOU with them so that they could pay the county, then the deputies could get paid.
I see. So this is for an activity that has already happened.
I believe that's correct.
Okay, but it doesn't affect future? Do we have any expectation that?
Well, I
It
don't,
was the inauguration.
it was more, yeah, and I
Oh,
think
okay.
when maybe Alan West was here, was it congressman, I think. There've been congressmen that have been here that they've helped with, and I think it'll cover those
Okay.
kinds of things, even into the future for this year.
Okay, thank you for explaining that.
Thank you. We got a motion and a second.
Yes, sir.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Number 8, approval of Chapter 312 Economic Development Agreement with Messer LLC.
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, and Kathy, I think you want to speak.
Kathy Vians, Precinct 4. You know, I'm not a fan of abatement agreements. I don't like giving away the opportunity for the county to collect revenue for the benefit of the citizens in the county. But have you looked into this actual company? Do you know anything about them? I saw that they had lawsuits for the product they were making for poultry factories, and I understand people died in that, but that may or may not have anything to do with this production facility. What do you know about Messer?
Yes, so, I mean, Kimberly may be able to, she's been more actively involved, but I think, I mean, it's a big company, and I mean, as we all know, sometimes there are gonna be lawsuits, whether it's a city, county,
Yes.
or a private company.
I understand that.
So-
Actually, I have to say, Kimberly called me this morning. I tried to reach her yesterday, and she was not in, as many people were not in yesterday, but she was kind enough to call me. I think it was even before office hours this morning, and spent a great deal of time on me, answer my questions. And one of the points that I was talking to her about is the fact that my understanding, and I'm just starting to delve into this, that's probably going to be a topic for me in the future, is these 312 agreements are supposed to improve employment in the county, but it seems that they're only going to take 16 new employees. We don't know if these will be people from within our community or from the A&M system to elevate our own population as far as employment goes. And even so, it's only 16 jobs. So I was concerned about how it meets the intent of 312 abatement projects. Kimberly, did you have anything to add for the public?
So I can tell you my perspective on it. Obviously, one of our largest employers is Texas A&M University. You've seen them cap their enrollment, so not as likely to increase professors and support staff. But research and development for Texas A&M at the Wells campus is growing and growing by leaps and bounds. So this company is the largest privately owned, family-owned gas company. They produce, one of the products that they produce goes and is used in semiconductor development, which is, I would love to have a semiconductor company here in Brazos County, not in China. So having this company here gives us an edge up on other counties in Texas where those firms may be looking to develop. So I'm very much in favor of this particular company because of the leverage it gives us for other types of industry.
Thank you for that. Something that Kimberly mentioned to me this morning, and I was happy to hear. I just wish projects like this and the 312 abatement plans, that you all had a bigger discussion at the time of your vote so that we know that you've looked into it and made your own critical thinking judgments on these, which obviously you have given it some thought, and Kimberly has discussed with me, and I want to thank her for answering my call today. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Number 9 is approval requested from Brazos County Extension Office and Emergency Management to issue U.S. Bank credit cards for the following employees, conferences, travel, and other department-related expenses.
Move for approval A through E.
Second.
Motion made, seconded.
And I think,
So I have a question, not
Okay.
for emergency management, but for Charles. I'm curious, you know, we continue to add people and, not, I mean, 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, but how does that impact our overall borrowing amount on the credit card? And do we need to think about trying to increase that?
First, I apologize for my attire today. I'm not working. Um, we are adjusting our credit limit as necessary, trying to keep it as low as possible, but still keeping capacity for it to not impact individual usage of that. We are amending our purchasing policy, of which the credit card is built into that per statute. We're going to amend that, and so we're going to have a report to y'all once a year on the total number of cards, the capacity for cards, and our total liability impact of those credit cards on the county for y'all's review, acknowledgement, or whatever, and in subsequent input as necessary.
Okay, great, thank you.
Charles, are we starting, I'm sorry. Are we starting to get our rebates back now from the credit card company?
We're very close. We hope to have the report to you soon. Because of when we began, there's a little bit of a lag. It's done quarterly. And so as soon as we get that information to you, then we will have that information. The last I pulled, I don't really do much, my coworkers ran the report and found that I think we had spent like right at $60,000, and that was a month and a half ago on our credit cards, and we only get like point something %, but we will have that information to you as soon as we get that rebate to the treasurer's office.
And you might explain, because I talked to you earlier today, why you look kind of 4-H-y, because you've been working with 4-H kids this morning, so.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for doing that.
Brazos County Youth Livestock Show is this week.
Okay, thank you.
So question on the credit card.
Yes,
If per the department, and I'm sure the requirements, if someone charges for travel or whatever the reason they're using the card, we don't keep a running balance. As soon as the person comes back and you have a bill and you have all the receipts, y'all immediately pay off the credit card. There's never a continuous balance on the credit card. It is just for them to use at the moment, and then you pay the bill.
So the departments bear that responsibility for when they come back with the receipt. They process it per our normal procedures. They process it within Oracle. It goes through the auditor's office, the treasurer's office, and so forth. Part of our rebates are not only tied to our total spend, but it's also the expediency in which we process that payment. So the quicker we pay, the higher percentage rebates we get back. That's part of the reason we went with this program, is that they had the higher rebate program available to us. Now, once we start analyzing our spend, we get a little bit more into it. We hope to start being a little more detail-oriented on getting with the departments to promote the quick turnaround of that payment so that we can maximize the county's rebate and our dollars.
Okay.
Thank you,
Okay,
Charles.
thank you.
It's my pleasure.
Okay, thank you, Charles. And Kathy, I think you want to speak on this too? Is that?
Now that I hear, Kathy Vians, Precinct 4. Now that I hear Mr. Wentz say that there will be a annual report on this, when will the first report be made? Does anybody know what the total number of credit cards that have been issued to date? I heard him mention 60,000, but I can't remember if that was the rebates available or, and I also wanted to know, okay, I'm an employee. I often have to buy supplies or buy things for my function. And I want to use my credit card instead of waiting to the end of the month or whenever it used to be done to get reimbursed for those expenses. What happens if I happen to be out and I forgot my wallet, but all I have is my Brazos County credit card and I need to buy groceries or gas or whatever, and I use it for a personal purpose, and that credit card bill comes into the county, does anybody actually match up the receipts, and has anybody, is there a process in place for accounting for the fact that somebody might inadvertently or purposefully use a county credit card for their own benefit? Is there a process in place for that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Charles will come arrest you.
So far. Do you have answers for me on the ones that I asked? Okay, thank you.
I just want to make sure you had all your questions and then I'm happy to answer.
Okay.
Because I don't want to, I mean, I don't know what the rules of the court, if we're supposed to have a
I have
conversation.
I have
if
2
the
minutes
time
left,
limit's
so
still
if you don't
going.
mind, I'll let it run while you answer, and if I have time left.
It's not my decision.
Go ahead and give us.
So as part of the policy there and the procedures of the auditor's office, every receipt is submitted for review every time. That is standard practice, no matter how the purchase is made, whether it's with a purchase order or if it's with a credit card. And so those are matched up every time. The total amounts of the credit cards and the limits per credit card, we have a receipt of all of that. They all go to court, so it's a matter of public record. We have a cumulative list, of course, that we maintain. So as far as if someone uses a county asset, whether it's a credit card or you take a vehicle and you drive to Washington, D.C. for a family vacation, or you steal postage stamps or something like that, then those will be turned over to either the auditor's office or the proper prosecuting office, and then it's up to them how they take care of it from there. But personal use of any county assets, other than using a pen or something like that to sign something, may be considered minimal use. But there's not supposed to be any personal use of any of that.
Do you happen to know how the total number of credit cards
Not off the
issued?
top of my head.
Or the dollar value?
I have that
grants?
information, but I don't have that information here.
I just would like the court to be aware of, be mindful of this issue, because it seems like every single week we have additional employees added. And I'm not sure, is that because we've changed our court schedule from a weekly schedule to a bi-monthly schedule, and people need to get paid more quickly, or they maybe were using their own funds to finance their expenses and it took too long to get reimbursed now that we're on a bi-monthly?
It provides a flexibility for the employee to not have to use their own personal cards, to not have to wait on reimbursement. So with regard to
I want to ask before my time's out, is the change of schedule impactful on that process?
I don't see that as an
Okay.
impact because we were doing this before 2026 as well. Yeah, you saw cards being issued in 2025. I do think that letting people who are working for the county have that freedom, that not lack of the crunch of the timeline, using the credit card is better. It's also easy to track. It's another way to track it. The auditor's looking at that. It's about transparency. And then if we get that 0.00002% back, then
It's a benefit to the county.
benefits too.
And I think we're also slowly adding more people because we've changed credit card issuers. There've probably been some people that have been using the old credit cards, and so now, as we transition to the new company, we're also having to change over with more folks issuing new cards and maybe issuing additional cards, because I know upstairs, our assistant used to be the person where she would literally pay out of pocket for coffee and paper goods and everything we needed just for our kitchen on the third floor. And so I'm glad now that we are providing them with a card such that if they do those kinds of things for the office, they're not paying out of their pockets and may or may not be getting reimbursed or requesting to be reimbursed. It's just another way to make sure, as he's saying, you can track a credit card bill, no matter whether they use it to go to Starbucks or whether they use it to go and purchase the paper goods that we need for the operation of the office. It's just another way to do that. It's documented. And if they use it inappropriately, as the constable said, then law enforcement, then there's a penalty for that if you misuse credit cards. And so I think this is a way for us to do that, because if not, they're held accountable.
And in the past, people were embarrassed to pull out a Diners Club card. So,
If I may, the final question before time expired was the court is aware of that. Any of that information is available to the court or any public if they have a request for information. We have a very open and transparent public information request system. We're happy to provide any information like that. I think as far as the predominance of those requests lately is an effort to make sure that employees aren't burdened with the county requirements to attend educational seminars or hotels or whatever. Some of the ones on for extension office. Those people were paying multiple hundreds or thousands of dollars to go to, I know some of the extension agent, they just, I just talked to one of them, she spent 9 days that she personally put it on her credit card and then had to go through the process to request reimbursement. And so that is the reason for that. That's not, in my mind, as a team leader, a department head, whatever you want to call me, I would not request that my employees tie up their personal money to take care of county business. And so I have encouraged them. We have this available as a tool. Let's use it. It's very transparent. It's very open. There's records. There's ties electronically and paper-wise. And so let's make use of that.
Okay,
Thank you, Charles.
Thank you.
thank you, George.
Could I clarify something real quick? I just wanted to say on the record that for our office, that while we do have one credit card for our office that is used for hotel reservations before y'all go and check in, but we do not use those for paper goods or coffee or any sort of things for our office.
That's what I'm saying.
That is
I'm
out of
sorry,
pocket.
clarification
I
for
do
that.
want to clarify
No,
that that
no.
is not being used.
But I'm saying the fact that when we run out of paper goods, right now, our staff is usually having to do that. And I have also done that personally, where I just go, if I'm at Sam's, I call and I say, what do we need? And I personally make the purchases myself. And now I've sort of trying to spread the wealth between my esteemed colleagues here, because we're the big coffee drinkers in the office. And so therefore, we pay for it. It is not something that the county pays for. But there are other departments where, just as you said, you have to pay with your personal credit card to go on a professional development for the county out of pocket. And so, and then it takes however long it takes for you to be reimbursed. And so I just think that this is a good way to do it. It's also a way to track it. And hopefully, from an ethical integrity perspective, that our county employees make sure that they're doing it in the right way. They understand what the limitations are, and they conduct themselves accordingly. If not, there are consequences. It's not like they can go to Starbucks and get away with it. It's
Charles?
monitored.
Charles, and as I recall, in your policy and procedures, you require that new credit card holders review those and actually acknowledge that they are familiar with the policies that apply to them.
Yes, sir. And everyone that picks up, since we started these new ones, it's not, they have to sign the credit card policy. It's a copy of that. And it also says in there what acceptable expenses are. So it's not like you can just go willy-nilly buying whatever. If you do, then it can be rejected by the county, or it can be withheld from your personal check, your paycheck. So there are constraints related to that. So
Thank you.
Thanks, Charles.
thank you.
Thank you, Charles.
Thank you, Charles. So we got a motion and a second? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? None motion carries. Number 10 is discuss a request related to current contract under consideration by ESD3, purchase 6 acres of land for construction of a new fire station located across the street from the existing fire station on Elmo Whedon Road. The seller will retain the remaining 4 acres located at the rear of the property. A request is being made that the easement for the seller's private driveway be reduced to 30 feet in a wide rather than 100 foot typically required by road and bridge.
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion made and seconded.
I'd love to hear from Road and Bridge, kind of why the county policy is 100 feet on that. If I see Prathana's here.
I asked for this to be put on the agenda because this
sorry, Fred.
seemed just absolutely, totally ridiculous. This doctor's keeping 4 acres at the back of his property. 4 acres is not big enough to put a development in, so why would you need a 100-foot easement to go back to 4 acres? So that's why I asked for this to be put on here.
Yeah, so I mean, it is in our subdivision regulations currently, which was passed by the Commissioners Court. Now, we're going through and revising, and will be revising the subdivision regulations, but that's what currently our engineer goes by, is what's in place right now.
Well, I understand that, but I mean, in instances like this, it needs to be taken one case at a time, because it makes no sense at all to go back to 4 acres of property that can't be developed into a neighborhood and ask for a 100-foot easement. So that's.
Yeah, let's,
Can't make that
Well,
decision.
no, I
Right, she's-
understand, but
That's why it's on the agenda for us to make the exception.
I know, that's
So-
why I asked to put it on here.
Right, and so we really can't make a decision this morning because I think the process is there's they need to turn in a plat and a request or an application for a variance.
And they've done that.
Have they done that?
Yeah, Prathna Banerjee, Brazos County Engineer. As of Thursday, last week, the applicant actually had their surveyor submit an application form and the plat. I do not have the variance that they're asking for that is being discussed here in writing, but that's part of the process. I will let them know any outstanding items that are required to complete their application process. That's really a very standard process. As you were pointing out, why is there a requirement? The regulations try to capture, if I can use that word, every type of development, and they're written in a very generic manner. And that's why there are requirements such as the 100 feet wide requirement. If at all there's a larger tract of land in a different instance. The very fact that there are, we can veer away from our regulations, there is in the regulations, there is a practice of variance requirements, and that's really what it boils down to. Anybody can come and ask for variance requests if it is not a financial burden. That is one of the criteria that we cannot accept a variance under. Anything other than that can be considered by the court and approved or denied. So there is a form in which any requirement in the regulations can be overcome. If
So
that's
are we missing any, are you missing anything to be able to approve this? at 30 foot?
There are documents that I need as part of the application. There's a 911 addressing information. Again, those are very basic requirements for plat approval. 911 addressing, letters from utility providers, health department typically looks at it and says, okay, again, very standard requirements for our plat application. Those are not, have not been submitted yet. But I will let the surveyor know, and once they do that, it'll be on the agenda to be approved.
Well, let me ask you this. Can we approve it with the understanding that these things that you require have to be done before it takes effect, without us having to come back and go through this all again? The thing that concerns me is this doctor that owns this property,
Right.
they're in contract right now, and he's not going to stay in contract forever. I mean, if this is going to be 30 days, 60 days, 90 days away, why can't we say, okay, we approve this as long as the requirements
Yeah.
that you have are met?
I want to back up a minute, though.
Beep, beep, beep.
There you go. The tenor, like the language we use up here, I think is important. The county engineer is going by subdivision regulations we have on the books. So, that's what she's tied to do, and she's doing that, and that's correct. And then, wait, just a moment, please. I didn't interrupt you. You correctly put it on the agenda, and we correctly should consider it. I don't want us to go away from, I wouldn't want us to get rid of that on the subdivision regulations, because that does act as a filter where we get to catch these things and discuss variances. This particular variance helps ESD 3. So I'm fully in favor of it, but I like that we had to discuss this. That if someone wants to go under 100 feet, that we've got as a court to decide. So I think everything is working correctly. We have something on the books. Someone's wanting to vary from that. We are discussing that variance. You put it on the agenda, so I would respect that you want to make a motion on it, but a motion that requires we approve it subject to the engineer having what she needs.
Correct. Yes.
Is something that I would support. But I just, again, it's not like a ridiculous, angry thing. This is just process. We're just going through process.
Yeah. And
I
if
do
I
have a
may,
question, though, that, I wasn't on the court when what is the purpose of the 100 feet? There's bound to be a reason that it was put into the subdivision regulations, so I'm kind of
Right.
curious.
So most of the agencies around here, the cities including, have a minimum lot width requirement. And we try to come up with 100 feet. That kind of puts us in a neighborhood of where we require the minimum right-of-way to be, if at all that right-of-way was, developed into something of a larger subdivision with a fully, a road that would be ultimately, considered for county maintenance. We typically require 70, 100 gives us that, a good, number that we've tried to kind of tie it into the other agencies that are around here. So to have it in a kind of standardized format everywhere around in the area, if you're developing land, you kind of have the similar number that you see. So it stems from that. Again, it's going to show up in our next, regulation that we are updating. I just want to bring out one, this discussion item really doesn't have the plat attached to it. It is just by itself, I guess, just the variance that is being discussed. The plat itself has not been attached to this agenda item. So I guess
That would
I'm
be
just
a
trying
that
to
would come back,
understand
right?
in procedurally what is being approved, because again, I'm just new to this process. It's not happened before that we've approved a variance without it being attached to a plat.
Well, you have the plat, don't you?
I have the plat, but it is not attached to this discussion item.
So Judge, I don't want to stand in the wheels of progress, but I guess when I looked at this agenda item, I noticed that it said discuss. I didn't realize that there would be anything up for approval. And the agenda item doesn't, even though its inference is that there's a variance potentially on the table, it doesn't talk about a variance as specifically using that word. Just for procedural, my advice would be for the court to get all of the documentation together. It be properly submitted as a variance to the subdivision regulations for the court's approval at another court date.
Well, to add to the discussion then, that answered your question, Commissioner, with the 100-foot?
Yes,
Yeah.
did, thank you.
Yeah, I think that's wise to keep on the books, but again, I would be very supportive of, once you have the documentation you need, that we get this taken care of.
And they're aware of it because they have your checklist.
Yes.
That in order for them to get this, they must provide these
Yes.
things. So it's not like they don't know what they need. And so.
That's right.
So this has gotten put on here more for discussion's sake.
Right.
Than it is to expedite this on behalf of this individual, so that he can do what he wants to do without having to wait for all the rest of the processes. When you set a precedence when you do something like this also.
Right.
Yeah, and again, though, to me, it's not so much the seller, because lots of sellers will want flag lots. Flag lots are not good to have in your county.
Right.
It's about the ESD3 and their use for that land in the future that I would love for the court to keep in mind. I think that's our priority, is health and safety, fire and police. I mean, this is an important station. It's growing. That area is growing. They've added new assets and pieces of equipment to that ESD out there. They're busy. I live right by it, and I just want to make sure they have the land for future growth that they're looking to get.
Judge, can we have this on the agenda in 2 weeks?
As soon as, I guess, they've provided you with
Yeah.
the.
So just procedurally, there's only so much I can do as a representative of the county as a staff. A lot of it also depends on the applicant, how quickly they can get me all of the requirements that are part of our application process. I cannot, on their behalf, ask for those documents from the other agencies. And I hope those are fairly straightforward and simple requirements. It's not something that's overbearing or outreaching or anything like that. So they should be able to get all of that. The deadline for agenda for the 7th of April is next week, Tuesday. And so if they get us all of that before and the plat looks complete, I would be happy to add it to the agenda.
Roger Laster is here from ESD3. I don't know if he wanted to speak to this or.
Well, he does now.
I'm Roger Lassiter. I'm a secretary of the ESD3. We also have our president, Chief Thomas Gale, of ESD, is here. And then if you have any questions, the landowner, Dr. Danny Smart, is here if you've got questions for him. Appreciate the support. Commissioner Condrela. Judge Peters, how are you? Good to see you
Good.
back.
Thank you.
and just to kind of echo what you've said, this has been a really nice period of time in negotiating this purchase with Dr. Smart. He's been kind enough to agree to sell us less than the 10 acres, which that wasn't always the case for other people we were talking to. And he's given us a more than fair price on the property. But as all of the contracts that you guys sign, time is of the essence, and so we are bringing this forward just a little bit quick for your consideration and your discussion, and I really appreciate what I'm hearing today about that. We were kind of going in a little bit of a circle up here, though, as long as the county gets what they need, they can act. I just want to make sure and we're relying on Kerr Surveying to help us get the documentation in, because this isn't necessarily our area of expertise, but if we're told exactly what we're short in a timely manner, we'll get right on it. I think we've already got 9/11 approval on the documentation that's gone in, and the only thing that I can think that we may not have submitted, and this to the engineer's credit, that was submitted late last week, I believe.
Thursday.
So she's working on a pretty short timeline for us, and I appreciate that. She's been very good about trying to educate me on what we need to do and how we need to do it. But the only thing that I'm not sure we had turned in on time was if there's a document that's requiring a variance that we have to sign and send in. But we'll find out about that. So.
Well, and Mrs. Benjeri is very good about working. So y'all are all here. Maybe y'all could talk after the meeting.
Sure.
Dr. Smart had to fight insurance companies and Medicare and Medicaid and take care of patients for decades in this county. So I bet he can get this paperwork knocked out quick
Right.
and get everything lined up.
Yeah, hope so.
So one more thing, Judge, just a clarification, Marcia reminded me, the deadline for submission for the next court date is gonna be Monday at noon. Because of the holiday on Friday, it pushes us up a day.
Okay.
Okay, we'll do our best to meet that deadline.
Okay.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Roger.
Thank you for your work at ESD2. Thank you, Mr. Gale.
Thank you.
All right, so we had
ESD3, excuse me.
so we had a motion and a second, but we really,
Don't need
I'll withdraw my
you
motion.
withdraw motion. Who has-
Yeah, I'll withdraw the second, but I think we're lined out pretty good here, Fred, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
to say discuss.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Just so we can be clear for the record, I had Condola as the motion maker and Brown as the second.
Oh, I'm
So if
sorry,
we
that's
do
right.
need
I
to
withdraw the
formally
motion.
remove,
I withdraw my motion.
I withdraw my motion.
thank you.
So do we need to table this or just?
We don't do anything
skip
with it.
Just go
Approve it
on?
when it comes up. Plat,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, then we will move on to number 11. It's approval of the following juvenile contract amendments, number 1 and 2, due to per day price increases.
Move for approval A and B.
Second?
Motion made, seconded, discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Number 12 is approval of order exempting contract with Southern Cementous Slurry from competitive bidding as a sole source pursuant to Texas Local Government Code 262.024A7A.
Move for approval.
Second?
Motion made, seconded, discussion.
I'd like to ask Charles a question.
Okay.
He's back in the crying room back there. Here he comes. For you all that don't know, that really was a crying room at First Baptist Church years ago. So that's why I referred to it as the crying room. Charles. Have you been crying?
Just a little, it's all good.
Okay. I'm curious why you anointed this company to not have to compete in bidding, because I pulled up other companies that do this cementous slurry,
Yes, sir.
and there's a whole bunch of them. And I'm wondering why we bypassed all that. And I know you put in there Texas Local Government Code, blah, blah, blah.
Yes, sir.
But why didn't we go out for bids on this? How do we know this is the best price we can get?
As I understand it, as it's been represented to us, they hold their patent
Sole source.
is licensed out to companies in regions, and they are the only company licensed to sell that product in that region.
Until December 27. The
Right.
documentation that you provided and the letter from our engineer said, we can save the exposure to our workers. We don't typically do it with lime or dry cement, and it really creates a health issue for our workers. They have to be hazmated up, and they bring in this product, which is a Marion Marietta product, and they're regionally control this area until December 27, when we could go out for, yeah, because I guess they lose the patent or whatever on it. But right now, it's a special product, which I know our engineers out there discussing things, but I assume there's a reason for using this product over something else.
As I understand it, they are the sole licensure or license holder of that particular product. And Commissioner, if you're aware of any information, because I mean, I trust our engineer a lot, but I also go verify the best of my knowledge, because I have to sign my name saying that I'm not aware of any other competitors for that. And so if you have information, I am more than happy to reconsider that and go dig further or verify further beyond what I've already done to look and see if there are other competitors for that particular product.
Well, anytime I see that competitive bidding is just
Yes, sir.
Bypassing, yeah.
bypassed.
And Commissioner, if you
always
look,
throws up flags for me.
it does. If you look at the Commissioner's Court minutes for the last year, I only approved like 3 of these a year of things to this extent. On lesser amount, cheaper stuff that's more difficult, or it's not as a financial consequence as this is, then we have a few more of those from time to time. But even then, I get beat up by the departments all the time. What do you mean this isn't a sole source? Well, we found these others. And so we're very sparing in requesting, in granting those requests from the purchasing department, and we're even more sparing on things as financially impactful as this is. And so I don't take that responsibility lightly. But I am more than happy. I'm not the end-all, be-all knowledge of everything, but through my research, I have not found a competitor that of similar type of product that maintains suspension. I won't get into the chemistry of it, what little bit I understand of it, but to maintain that stuff in suspension so it doesn't fall out. So at the bottom of the load, you wind up having a bunch of stuff that settled out in the bottom of the tank. They maintain the slurry agitated to the degree that we get the product that we're paying for, not just a bunch of water and a little bit of stuff.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it.
Great answer, thank you.
Okay, so we've got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Number 14 is permission to advertise for bid 26-092 transportation. I beg your pardon?
13.
I'm sorry. Okay. Then 13 is approval of service contract 26.089 cementous slurry with Southern Cement Slurry LLC.
Move for approval.
Second?
Motion made, seconded. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Number 14 is permission to advertise for bid 26-092 transportation of deceased and cremation services.
Move for approval.
Second?
Motion made, seconded. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Number 15 is approval of amendment number 6, CIP 23-0601, architect for design for Brazos County Administration Building with Plan North Architectural for additional design services in the amount of $73,000, increasing the total contract to $1,759,653.
Move for approval.
Second?
Motion made, seconded. Discussion.
Judge, just last month, we approved a design change on this building that was, let's see, $974,000. And then today, we're approving another change, $73,000. Is this ever going to stop? I mean, Trevor, I hate to pick on you, but chingalinga, this, before you know it, this is real money we're talking about. And it just keeps growing and growing.
Haven't gotten a chingling in a while, so I appreciate you
okay.
throwing that in. So just to correct it. The contract amendment that we approved last time was for the contractor. That was for Flintco to actually perform the work. This is for the design team to design the work for the change order. The timing didn't work out that we could get them on the agenda at the same time, and so it's a little bit of cleanup, but need to get it memorialized.
Kind of the same issue, two different
Correct.
parts.
So
that
this
need
is
to be
this is the design work that's required to bring a civil engineer onto the team to fix a bunch of our stormwater drainage issues around the building, as well as for some of the issues that we found in the sanctuary, and some of the other stuff that we found as we've peeled the walls off, and additional detailing for the exterior sheathing, some CMU walls that we found up in some of the mechanical rooms. Anyway, this just kind of closes the loop on that change order. And from your perspective, or really from everybody's perspective, it should really be seen as the total cost of the change order for the design firm and the contractor.
Are there any more surprises that we're looking at?
I'm sure there will be. When you're working on a building of this age,
Yeah.
we're going to find more stuff. I don't.
Well, I
I'd
appreciate
love
you-
not to, but
Well, after my conversation with you earlier today in my office, I asked you, does anybody ever come in under bid? And you said, it looks like the medical examiner's office is gonna come in under bid. So when that happens, I think we ought to have a big party, because that it never happens in anything having to do with counties or cities or even the state.
and it's
So-
even harder with remodels because you
that's
don't
what I
know
was
what
gonna
you're,
say.
you
I
don't know
wish,
what you're getting into.
I wish the geotech and construction equipment tests would have been the rule back then. We might not be here today spending more money
Yes, sir.
than what we had thought.
Okay.
I'm going through it right now,
Yes, ma'am.
on a personal note.
Okay, so we got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Number 16 is approval of amendment number 1 for CIP 25-563, construction manager at risk for Brazos County Courthouse Annex 101 North, GMP proposal with Spall Glass Construction in the amount of $59 million.
Move for approval.
Second?
Motion made, seconded, and we got a couple want to speak. Peter Michelina.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you, Judge. Thank you, Commissioners. Good morning. I think we're in the wrong line of work, Commissioner Brown, when you get into materials testing. Might be better.
Yeah, you're
I had a couple questions regarding the GMP here, and I feel like it's kind of a misnomer because there could still be change orders added to it. And I know that it's a guaranteed maximum price. However, reading through this, if you turn over to tab number 5, there's a couple questions I have regarding the assumptions and clarifications, and I'm hoping to get those answered here today. So when we're talking about the contingencies that we are allowing here, we have $2 million in, 3.7 in contingencies, and one of the reference points here is addendum number 3. So if you look at item number O on number 3, it says, any work related to addendum number 3, some allowances have been included to account for additional work related to this addendum, but no subcontractor pricing has been used to validate these costs. So it's just a rough estimate. And I think that Trevor mentioned earlier that the design still hadn't been completed before this was submitted. So it feels like we're putting the cart before the horse here a little bit. If the design's not completed, but we're coming up with a guaranteed maximum price, I'm not sure how that really correlates there if we're not sure exactly what's in the full scope of the project, but we're still giving a guaranteed maximum price. So it says addendum number 3 is not fully priced as part of the basis documents. There's limited allowances. Some of these allowances are not validated with pricing. So portions of this are only provisional allowances, and it's pretty much a rough guess or estimate. There's some of the exclusions here. We're talking about testing inspections are excluded. Commissions, utility impact fees are excluded as well. What I'm concerned about is that the cost of this project is actually going to be higher than this guaranteed price, and that there's going to be change orders coming down the road that are going to impact the taxpayers, right? Because if we have looked at our capital improvement project budget for the year was $69 million for this 101 North, and this is only $59 million, is the rest of these costs going to be coming out of the budget? And I know that we just took out a certificate of obligation to pay for this, so where are these costs going to be coming in later? Looking at the addendum number 3, it seems to be one of the big ones here because we're talking about the MEP systems. You're giving these nice round numbers, looking at the plumbing, looking at the electrical. It says upsize HVAC equipment, addendum 3, $100,000. Upsize electrical, $25,000. So these are allowances that are being given, but they're not fixed prices, so I'm not sure how they're gonna be going towards this. So, the contingency, we have a higher contingency than the contractor, but I'm not sure how this contingency is gonna be returned. It's not included in this GMP. I'm sure that someone will come up here after me and explain that. The GMP is being proposed before the design is complete. Again, talking about the cart before the horse here. We need to know what we're actually designing before we spend the money on it. And so, one of the other things here, I'm kind of running out of time, I'm concerned about the change orders coming through at the end. I'm concerned that the design is still evolving. We have designer fees included into this price. So that's one of the implications, that the design hasn't been completed if we're still allowing money for that to be done. There's also a lot of these exclusions that have been thrown in here, including the asbestos, which is one of the reasons why we tore the building down. Some of the groundwork is being excluded, the fireproofing is being excluded, the acoustic rating assemblies. So systems that are typically part of a complete building are part of the exclusions that are in this project here. There's the site conditions, it's being put back onto the county. So the rock excavation, buried structures, soil remediation, utility conflicts, those are being put on us to take the cost and the burden on it. It's not included in this GMP. The schedule obviously is floating, depending on permits. And then there's a lot of zero cost lump sums here that don't have actual prices goes into it. So I'm not saying that we shouldn't move forward with it. I'm just saying that and see what the actual.
Judge and Commissioners, I'm sorry, I don't want to interrupt y'all. I do want to let you know that YouTube has gone down and we're not certain that we're recording at this point since Mr. Michelina had come up. I do have a recorder going, but if the court would like to pause and we can restart everything so we can make sure that everything's on the record.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry about that.
Peter, could you repeat that? Actually, I think it's two simple answers, but.
All right, so we're coming out of recess. It's 11:59. And let's see, I think you said that maybe the recording stopped on 15. You want to give us an update?
Yes, sir. So it appears that the recording stopped on item number 15. And just for the record, we had Commissioner Condola who made a motion for that. Commissioner Watson made the second, and it was a unanimous vote. We had moved into item number 16. Commissioner Condola had made the motion on that. Commissioner Watson made the second. And we had Peter Michelina speak, which I believe that I have on an audio recording that we can upload to YouTube later.
Okay, and so Kathy Veens, you want to speak?
Kathy Vians, Precinct 4. I just want to reiterate the points that Mr. Michelina made. We'd like the court to use some critical thinking aspects to this project, make sure that the design is complete. We actually have an idea of what we're building, and follow up on some of the points that he made earlier, and I hope that the at-home audience listens to that recording. Thank you.
Okay. Trevor, you want?
Judge Commissioners, Trevor Lansdowne, Director of Project Management. So I think kind of what we're dealing with is a maybe just a holistic misunderstanding about how the construction manager at risk process works. So one of the advantages to this deliverable process is that we bring the contractor on right at the beginning, or really whenever we decide, but we really get the most value of bringing them onto the project team at the beginning, so they are with us through the design process. We can decide to execute a guaranteed maximum price proposal at any point in the design process. It can happen. It theoretically could happen day one if you had a really, really well-written scope and a really good understanding of what you were doing. It allows us to get started sooner on our projects, so we don't have to fully take this thing to every single detail designed out. And so what you see in your proposal is division by division pricing, and what that is a vetted estimate by the contractor to say they think that this is what this is going to cost. And in reality, the idea is that it doesn't have to go over that because they are at risk if it does. And so that's why the at-risk piece, that's where the at-risk piece comes in. And so how this process will work once we agree to this is, and one of the great pieces of this process too is that they have the connections within the subcontractor community, so that and I think we did an SD budget, and then we also did a DD budget. And when we got to the design development phase of the project, they actually were able to go out to subs and get pricing on the design as it was developed to that level of detail. And so their comfortability with what you see in the packet there is what it is. It's a guaranteed maximum price for the design as it is developed today. And so, we talk about change orders, right? We talk about change orders as they come in. No one loves change orders. Some of them are, things that we decide we want to do differently. Some are existing conditions that you find as you go through a project. I will say this is really only our second big CMAR project that we've done. We've not done a change order that has cost $1 on the medical examiner's office. Their guaranteed maximum price is what it is. When we executed that GMP proposal back a year and a half ago now, and so it is a benefit to us. It cuts change orders down as they begin to actually truly go out and buy that work. So what'll happen is you see that schedule of values that's in that GMP. As they go and contract subcontractors for those specific scopes of work, they will present those to us and present a best value to the project, and give us that pricing. And when it comes in underneath that, and it almost always does, we get that back. So that money then moves to, and different contractors call it different things, but it's essentially a buyout savings to the project. So that when they said guaranteed maximum price, say for concrete was $5 million, and they go sign a subcontract with a concrete sub for 3.7, well, the remaining 1.3 comes back to the county, and it goes in a schedule of values line item for budget, for buyout savings that then in the end comes back to us, and we can do a deductive change order when the project's done. We can put some of that back into contingency if we need to for other items. So that's kind of big picture what we're talking about. The exclusions and the assumptions that are in there, a lot of that's boilerplate specific to fireproofing. The fireproofing ended up not being required by code on the project, so that's why it's in there. Testing is going to be handled by the county. We have an IDIQ contract for materials testing and commissioning. We have a commissioning agent on the project as well, so that'll all be handled by the county. So I just want to, by design, this is how this process goes. I just wanted to kind of clear the table.
And I think it's important, and I understand people's concern over a very large project, as we are sitting on this dais. But also important to point out that this county's been working on this project since 2021. I think we have a pretty good idea of what we're going to build, and Spa Glass, I assume, would not agree to this guaranteed maximum if they didn't think they could meet it.
Right.
They're in this business. They do it every single day, and I'm glad we selected them. So
Yep.
thank you for all your work on that.
Right.
I second those comments, yep.
And I trust you as the project manager to make sure that you're overseeing it in a way, because you're bringing us the information in the kind of increments that you are. I feel confident that you're doing your due diligence in combination of working with these contractors to make sure that we can, eliminate as many of these possible perceived potential cost overruns or whatever. But I trust you, implicitly on the work that you do and how you've kept us all informed individually and as a group. So I think you got this.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Trevor. So we got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. One opposal. Motion passes. Number 17 is approval of deductive change order CIP 25-579 Democrat Road Rail Car Replacement with Knife River for $46,580.40, decreasing the total amount of the contract to $667,672.03.
Move for approval.
Second?
Motion made, seconded, discussion.
Glad to see the
That's
savings.
my kind of deal right there.
Also
I like
glad
to
to see the progress they're making at Democrat.
Yes.
All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? None motion carries. Number 18 is approval of deductive change order CIP 25-583 Brazos County Bridge Scour Repair Alexander Road 002, Fickey Road 001, with solid bridge construction.
Move for approval A and B.
Second?
Motion made, seconded, discussion.
Glad to see nearly $100,000 deductive change orders in these two motions.
Yeah. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Number 19 is award of bid 26-0559 heavy equipment rental recommended award for the, to the following as per tabulation sheet.
Move for approval.
For A through F.
Second?
Motion made, seconded, discussion.
You know, I applaud Road and Bridge for going out and doing this. I think this is a great move to rent heavy equipment so we don't have to buy it, maintain it, and insure it. So I think it's a great option for the county.
Here, here.
Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Number 20 is consider and take action on Wellborn SUD utility permit to construct road bore 5777 Straub Road to provide water services, sites located in precinct 1.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion made, seconded, discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Number 21 is consider and take action on Wellborn SUD utility permit to construct road bore 3,724 feet, Old Barker Road, Ranch Road, to provide water services, sites located in precinct 1.
Move to approve.
Second?
Motion made, seconded, discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Number 22 is request for approval of the final plat of Lakeside at Milliken Reserve, Phase 1, 19.932 acres, Thomas Henry Survey A-130, J.P. Mitchell Survey A-179, Jose Maria Barrera Survey A-67, City of College Station, ETJ, Brazos County, Texas, sites located in precinct 1.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Number 22 is request approval for final plat of Lakeside at Milliken Reserve, Phase 1, 19 point. I just did, was that the one we just passed?
Yeah, we'll go to 23.
Okay, 23. Consider and take action on Comcast utility permit to construct road bore under following county roads located with Saddle Creek subdivision, sites located in precinct 1.
Move to approve A through I.
Second.
Motion made, seconded, discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Number 24 is consider and take action on Comcast utility permit to construct road bore under the following county roads within Duck Haven subdivision, sites located in precinct 1.
Move to approve A through F.
Second.
Motion made, seconded, discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Number 25 is request for approval of final plat Southern Point subdivision sections 505, 506, 603, and 702, Commons Area Detention and Detention Ponds, Starrett D. Smith, League A 201, College Station, ETJ, Brazos County, Texas, sites located in precinct 1.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion made, seconded, discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Number 26 is request approval for the final plat of Coulter Business Park Phase 2, Lot 6R, Block 3, being a replat of Lot 6, 7, and 8, Block 3, 3.154 acres, Moses A. Foster, A-16, City of Bryan, ETJ, Brazos County, Texas, sites located in precinct 2.
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion made, seconded, discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Number 27 is consider and take action on Wellborn SUD utility permit to construct road bore 8414 calibration court to provide water services, sites located in precinct 4.
Move approval?
Second.
Motion made, seconded, discussion. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? None motion carries. Number 28 is Commissioners Court minutes for the following dates.
Move for approval A through D.
Second?
Motion made, seconded, discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Number 29 is budget amendments, FY 25/26 budget amendments 13.01 through 13.08.
Move to approve.
Second?
Motion made, seconded, discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Number 30 is personnel change status.
Move to approve.
Second?
Motion made, seconded, discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Number 31 is payment of claims.
Move for approval?
Second.
Motion made, seconded, discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. We're going to skip down to number 34, and it is acknowledgement of the monthly report submitted in March of 2026. 35 is acknowledgement of the FY 25-26 budget to actuals by fund as of March 16th, 2026, and acknowledgement of the FY 25-26 contingency budget to actual by fund as of March 16th, 2026. 36 is the monthly report by the Public Defender's Office. There you go.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you, Commissioners. I just wanted to start the report reminding you all that the Public Defender's Office represents indigent people in Brazos County who are charged with crimes, and that this is required by both our federal and our state constitutions. Indigent defense, I think, is one of those unfunded mandates that that goes all the way up to the United States Supreme Court. They just kind of pass things down to the state level, and then the states pass it on to the counties. So it's important that this work be done. It's also important that this work be done efficiently and effectively. But the constitutional rights that are sort of at stake here are the right to counsel, the right to a fair trial, due process, and equal protection. And all of these are some of the most fundamental rights that we enjoy as Americans. To give you a quick snapshot of what our office is doing right now, we currently, with 3 attorneys dedicated to misdemeanor cases, we currently take approximately 1/3 of the county's new appointments on misdemeanor cases. The remaining 2/3 are spread out across 23 attorneys. We currently take about 1/2 of appellate appointments, and the other half is spread out among 5 attorneys. And we also, up through the first quarter of this year, we were taking about 20% of new felony appointments, new non-aggravated felony appointments, with the remaining 80% spread out to go to 25 private attorneys. And so what I think those numbers reflect, if you're terrible at math like me, but I had an hour to stare at the numbers, is that we are a high capacity resource for indigent appointments. And the reason for that is because representing people who are indigent is our core mission, and it is our core mission to do that efficiently and effectively. Our focused approach has relieved a significant amount of pressure in our indigent defense system that was originally the reason in 2022 that Brazos County reached out to TIDC, the Texas Indigent Defense Commission, for a planning study as to whether or not Brazos County needed a public defender's office. TIDC concluded that a public defender's office would help with an attorney shortage and a case backlog and overloaded dockets. And what we are seeing here in 2026 is that we are making a difference with all of those things. Just to kind of give you an idea of what that looks like on the ground, our office received in the first quarter of the fiscal year, so that would be October, November, and December, our office received 122 new misdemeanor cases, 51 new felony cases. We resolved 128 misdemeanor cases and 54 felony cases. At the end of the quarter, our felony attorneys, we have 2 attorneys dedicated to felonies. They had 129 active felony cases. Our 3 misdemeanor attorneys dedicated to misdemeanors each had an average of 89 active misdemeanor cases. The average time from appointment to our initial client interviews ranged from 6 to 11 days during that time. And equally important is in the first quarter of this year, we have begun taking juvenile cases. As you are all aware, we created a juvenile division with grant funds that we received for fiscal year 2026. We have hired a chief and filled our staff positions to start taking juvenile cases. And currently, as I stand here now, we are taking 50% of the cases where the courts are making are appointing counsel. And so we expect that percentage to increase with time. But right now, we are at 50%, and our juvenile division started taking cases about a month ahead of schedule. So I think they're doing fantastic work. We also created a mental health division. Our mental health division is implemented so that we can take cases from the courts that involve a high level of specialization. Criminal defense attorneys have a specialization in criminal law, and then when you add mental health law to that, the Venn diagram of attorneys that can do both it doesn't overlap much. But we have a very good mental health attorney who is working those cases, and also our office has agreed to provide representation to all of the participants who are entering into the county's new mental health court program that's being run by Judge Hilburn and the DA's office. So that's all the legal work that we're doing currently. We are preparing our fiscal year 2027 grant applications. I don't anticipate asking for any new programs or positions through our grants this year, but these grants will continue to help sustain our current workload and our current footprint in the courts. I'll end on just a win for us. Just this morning, one of our clients was approved for placement in a therapeutic housing for women who have been victims of sex trafficking. And that is a huge win for our office. We will be moving this client out of the county jail and into therapeutic housing so that we can begin a process of restoration for her. So we operate within budget, we meet state standards, and we provide high-quality defense that in the long run will reduce county costs. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Nathan. That's great.
Thank you for your continued work out there, Nathan.
Okay, 37 is monthly report by Juvenile Services Department. Linda.
Good morning, Judge and Commissioners. I'll just give you a little statistics for the month of February, since our reports are spread out a little more now. We had 105 juveniles in our detention center that were brought in February. 99 of those were from our county, and we had 6 of those from out of county. We contract with counties around the state that don't have their own detention center. So we had that many. Our average daily population in the month of February was 35. In the month of March, from March 1st to now, to yesterday, the 23rd, we've had 58 juveniles brought into detention. 54 of those are from our county, and then we had 4 from out of county. We have 35 juveniles in detention, 22 males and 13 females, and we have 34 kids on electronic monitor. We're presently supervising 163 kids on actual probation in the community, but 12 of those kids are in residential placement in treatment facilities around the state. We have 97 kids right now pending court action, and then we also do counseling in the community. Our counselors right now are are counseling 47 juveniles on individual counseling in the community. Of course, we do have counseling in detention, and so we do, and we provide crisis intervention in detention and with the kids. And we have just begun our RED program, which is our program for distracted driving for juveniles. And if you ever see the Eagle newspaper, Mr. Southern just did an article on it. It was very good. So you might try to take a look at that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Linda. Monthly report by Sheriff's Office. Chief?
Hey, good afternoon, Judge, Commissioners. So I'd like to start off today by giving our population this morning. Total population 738. There are 632 males, 106 females, and 38 that are on electronic monitor. Our actual average daily population for this first quarter is 750. That's 636 males, 115 females, and we've booked this first quarter 2,112 inmates into the jail. And just a little bit of a breakdown on that month to month, what that looks like. January, the ADP was 732. And then February, we jumped up a little bit to 766. And this month, we're looking at 760. So hopefully that trend continues down a little bit, but nothing significant that's not going on anywhere else statewide or nationwide. And one stat on staffing, to give you all an update on that, we currently have 38 vacancies. That's out of roughly 200 employees just in the jail. And so that's kind of where we're sitting. And that's a significant amount, how it feels day to day. But again, compared to what's going on across the state and nationally, we're doing a little bit better as far as just the math on that. So things are looking good.
Chief, how many of those detainees are being held for ICE? Would you say?
It varies a little bit, but it's bumped up. We usually have around 80 that have some kind of hold. And, you know, I think over the years that's gone up slightly. But just to put a disclaimer on that, that's not 80 people that only have an ICE detainer, because we only keep them for 48 hours once there's no local charges. So these are people that have, they have other charges pending. They're waiting to go to trial. They just happen to have an ICE detainer. And so we're not contracting with the federal government to house ICE detainees, if that makes sense. So once someone's case is disposed here locally, we contact ICE and they come and get them within 48 hours. And they're out.
But they don't reimburse us for any of those ICE detainees?
Yeah, they're traditionally in the past they haven't, but there's a new grant that's out this year that has to do with a new legislative requirement that we have a contract or an agreement with ICE, and we're working on that right now. And there's a grant program that has some reimbursement for training and also for housing, and we're going to get every single penny that we can from that.
That's
So,
great.
you know, yeah, that's the plan. All right. Great. Thank you all very much.
Thanks, Chief. 39 is announcement of interest items and possible future agenda
I'll
topics.
have something. If nobody else does, I'll have something.
You have-
So, at last court, when we had court the last time, I mentioned that I had a constituent contact me regarding some concerns that she had with a company that had come into her neighborhood to lay the fiber optic wiring and the destruction that was done, and that they were not that was, for example, the trucks that they drove were not clearly identified. And when she finally was able to talk to someone with the third-party vendor who was doing the actual work, they misidentified themselves as Comcast. So come to find out with some work that it was actually Frontier. And I have to say to you all, by the time we left court on that day, a Comcast representative called me with concerns about if they were having workers that were doing what was alleged and what actually was happening, that they wanted to know, and they were going to get on and make sure that, number one, the workers were clearly identified. They were concerned because usually when those companies go into a neighborhood, they put door hangers on to let people know that they were coming into the neighborhood. And again, they are clearly identified, the individuals are identified and the trucks are identified. This did not happen. But like I said, the Comcast representative who worked with me and talked to me, and actually I met with the Houston representative from Comcast. This is how seriously they took this. And so they were very clear that these were not their workers. They'd also work with the city of Bryan, because in this case, because it's within the city limits, city of Bryan has to permit any of those companies that come in to do that kind of work. And while they took a little bit of investigation to find out what was happening, I want to say to Comcast, thank them very much for the information that they provided me and helped me understand what the process is for these companies to come in, and they took responsibility for that. I will say I was a bit disappointed because the individual who called me was identified. The company immediately came back and at least cleaned up her yard. What they did not do with the other residents, there were 6 other residents, they left their yard in shambles, and when we had that bit of rain, according to the person who called me, there was just a mud fill with these other people's yard. They have since come back and fixed that. I have not heard from Frontier, but I would say to you as citizens, if that happens to you, depending on who your commissioner is, I would assume that you would reach out to your commissioner and let him or her, contact the city of Bryan and work to make sure that even as city residents, that we can help advocate on your behalf to get this resolved, because they have finally come and done that. I've had it happen to me. The vendor that came into my neighborhood did the similar kind of work, but they were very good at identifying themselves. The trucks were identifiable, and they came back, they cleaned up, and where they destroyed the lawn, they actually laid sod. This has not happened thus far with the other vendor, with Frontier, that has come into this neighborhood. But they have come back and removed the dirt and smoothed it off, but they have not come back and did the kind of cleanup that some of the other vendors are doing. So I want to say to Comcast, thank you very much for your reaching out to me and for what you've done to help address this issue, even though it wasn't your issue. So I just thought I needed, since I put them on blast, that I also wanted to thank them for getting back to me that day. By the time I got downstairs, I had emails and text messages coming from them saying, let's talk. So thank you, Comcast.
Okay. Thank you.
Judge, I have 2 things. March 31st, next Tuesday, we're having Station Day out at South Brazos County Station 6 off Walnut Road. Constable Reeves and JP Elliott will be there with me from 6 to 8 to answer questions. Also coming up, April 14th is the 8th Annual Day of the Missing.
Of the what?
Missing.
Of the Missing.
Missing, okay.
It'll be held at 1 o'clock at Brazos Valley Council of Governments, supported by Amber Alert Networks.
We'll talk about Stake Your Support. Okay, and this Saturday at the Expo will be Stake Your Support. This is an organization, it's an event each year. It raises money for veterans causes. If you can actually just go to, it's stakeyoursupport.com, right?
Yep.
Yeah, just go to Stake Your Support, as in steak, as in a delicious piece of meat, stakeyoursupport.com.
Brazos Valley Cares.
Brazos Valley Cares is the organization that puts that on each year. It's an enormous event. The expo is full. It's a great opportunity to support financial need for different organizations or programs benefiting the men and women that have put themselves at risk, keeping us free. Oh, one other thing was stated earlier when Habitat for Humanity, I had someone actually reach out to me, and then today I want to make sure, since Charles was here, this was correctly stated. People don't put in 300 hours of sweat equity and then get a Habitat home. They put in 300 hours, once they're approved, they can put in 300 hours of sweat equity building other Habitat homes and then have a 0 interest loan. So it's, they're buying their house. They're buying a house that is sufficient for use and family. It's not a big opulent thing. It's what families need. Habitat homeowners for credit reasons, for divorce, for poverty, for any number of reasons might not be able to get a traditional loan. They can get a home loan at 0% interest, but they work very hard helping build other homes. Then they can move into their home, which they are purchasing. So it's not, I don't want people to think that organization is just giving away these free homes. People work very hard for those homes. And in Bryan, I know we're the largest habitat community in the South, bigger than Houston. We've got a lot of people that aren't afraid to work hard to have the American dream. Really proud of that here in Brazos County. But just wanted to clarify, these people are working hard and then they are buying a home at a 0% loan. They're not being given the home.
And part of the problem is also that the cost of land has started pricing Habitat out for trying to build those affordable homes. And that's part of the reason that they're having to probably look at possibly going out of the, directly out of Bryan College Station is just the cost of land. It's just everything, like everything is going up. So they're having to look in other areas to be able to build these affordable houses.
Okay.
Yes, sir, more information coming soon, but just like last year, when the Chamber of Commerce had their job fair, the county will be involved, and we will have opportunities for businesses in our community to come in and talk to us about how they can bid for work that we have done within the county. So more information coming in the very near future.
Okay.
Thank you, Judge.
Nina.
Good afternoon, Nina Payne, Budget Officer. I'll make this short and sweet. I would like to announce an upcoming event. No food involved, so I'm sorry. But the county auditor and myself will be hosting our first ever Citizen Academy regarding the budgeting process. It will be housed here in Commissioners Court on April 23rd from 6 to 7:30. The title is From Taxes to Services, How the Brazos County Budget Works. And so we'll have an application process, 50 applicants, first 50 people that will register will be able to show up and listen to our wonderful presentation on how the budgeting process works. This information will be put into the website, the county website, as well as social media in the near future, so look for that. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nina. Looking forward to it. Me too. So, any other announcement? We will move back up to number 32 and convene an executive session pursuant to Texas Government Code 551.0725 to deliberate the business, financial issues related to a contract being negotiated. And do we have to?
Yes, Judge. I've rendered a legal opinion. I've provided it to the court that it would be detrimental to the county's position to deliberate this in open court. I'd ask the court to take a vote and it be unanimous before we can take this matter up in executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made, seconded. All in favor, raise your right hand. Unanimous. And we'll need Aubrey, Ed, Andrew, Nina, Katie, and the court. And the time is 12:35.
Katie's gone to 4-H. Katie's gone to the 4-H thing.
Oh, she did?
Yeah,
Okay.
she was leaving.
All right.
She went
I
to
saw her
4-H.
earlier. Yeah, it looks like it, or they wore us out. You ready? Okay. We're coming out of executive session. It's 12:49. There's no action to be taken. And the next item on the agenda is to adjourn.
And sign a bunch of things.
Yep.
Cheryl. Could IT, they were gonna meet me at 1 for an update.